Today on Grace Uncensored, we're taking on the so-called Prodigal Son. But here's the shocker. The father never used that word, not once. He didn't see a prodigal. He saw his child. And if you've been living under labels that God never gave you, this story will wreck your religion and rewrite your identity.
Once you've heard this, you can't unhear it.
Christianity was never meant to be about striving, guilt, or religious pressure. It's about grace, real, unfiltered, life-changing grace. Welcome to Grace Uncensored, the podcast where we clear away the noise, break free from legalism, and rediscover the freedom, joy, and rest found in Jesus Christ. If you're ready to stop chasing approval and start living in the truth of the gospel, you're in the right place. Now here's Billy McDonald with Grace Uncensored.
Hi, I'm Billy McDonald, and welcome to Grace Uncensored, the podcast where we cut through the noise, clear out the religious fog, and rediscover the unfiltered gospel of grace. If you've ever felt like you've wandered too far, failed too much, or ruined your chance with God, this episode is for you because today's story shows us that what we often call failure or rebellion, the Father simply calls my son or my daughter. And before we dive in, I'd love for you to do two quick things. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and drop a comment. What's a label you've carried that God never gave you? I can't wait to hear from you. I'll come back to that question later, but let's start at the beginning. Let's look at this like a four-act play. Here's scene one. Imagine with me a young man living under the roof of a kind, generous father. The family has land, wealth, stability. Life is safe. But something in the boy stirs a restlessness. You know the feeling. He looks around at the farm, at the fields, at the routine, and he thinks, there's got to be more than this. I want out. I want to feel alive. One morning, maybe at breakfast, he blurts out, "Dad, give me my share of the inheritance. I'm ready to live my own life." Now that's shocking because in that culture, asking for your inheritance early was basically saying, "I wish you were dead. I want what you have, not you." And here's the first twist. The father doesn't fight him. He doesn't argue. He doesn't guilt trip. He just gives. He divides his estate, his very life, and the boy is gone. Now in scene two, just stop and put yourself in the father's shoes. He just gave away a third of his life savings because he had another son, and he watched his youngest son just walk off. What could he have said? He could have said, "You ungrateful punk, don't you dare come back." Or, "You'll regret this, don't expect me to clean up your mess." But Jesus doesn't give us that. Instead, we get a father who day after day waits patiently. I picture him standing at the edge of his property every morning, scanning the horizon, not bitter, not resentful, just waiting and believing. Let me ask you, have you ever been there, waiting for someone you love to come home? Not to your house, but to their senses. Well, that brings us to scene three. Meanwhile, the son is living the dream. New city, new friends, new freedom. And for a while, it works. But reckless living burns fast. The money runs out. The friends certainly disappear. He ends up broke, hungry, and in this story, we find a young Jewish man feeding pigs, an animal that was detested by the Jewish law. And in that moment, Jesus says something profound. When he came to his senses. That's the turning point. He thinks, even my father's servant eat better than this. Maybe I can go back, not as a son, I'm not worthy, but maybe as a hired hand. So he starts rehearsing a speech. "Father, I've sinned. I'm not worthy. Just hire me back." But he has no idea what's about to happen on that road home. In scene 4, Jesus says, while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion for him and ran. Just pause there. Men of dignity didn't run in that culture. Elders were expected to move with composure and dignity, Running was associated with children or servants or those lacking status. For a patriarch or a landowner to run meant lowering himself socially. It was considered shameful. But this dad didn't care. His love outran his reputation. The father runs, he embraces, he kisses, and before the son can finish his apology, the father interrupts and says, "Bring the best robe, put a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet, kill the fattened calf. Let's celebrate." Why? Because this son of mine was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and he's been found. Notice the words, "this son of mine," not this prodigal, not this failure, not this disappointment, just my son. That's what grace does. It renames you. Maybe you've heard this story 100 times, but maybe today it's personal. Maybe you've tried to walk away, or maybe you've been carrying labels, failure, mess up, prodigal. But listen carefully. That's not what God calls you. He calls you child. He calls you beloved. He calls you mine. He's not waiting for you to clean up first. He's already running towards you. Not ashamed of you, just glad you're home. Glad you've come to your senses. So here's my challenge. Open up Luke 15 this week. Read it slowly. Picture that road. Picture the Father sprinting towards you, and let his words rename you. Just before my final thought, if today's story hit home, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment. What's the most powerful name God has ever called you? That could be your reminder this week. And don't forget, subscribe and share this with someone who needs to know. The Father isn't calling him prodigal. He's calling them son, daughter, mine. Well, thanks for joining me today on Grace Uncensored. Remember, the world will slap labels on you. Religion will too, but the Father doesn't. He calls you his own. Next time on Grace Uncensored, we're going to tackle a question so many Christians secretly wrestle with. Can I lose my salvation? We'll unpack what eternal security really means and why it's better news than you've ever heard. Until then, rest in his running grace.
You've been listening to Grace Uncensored, where it's not about religion, it's all about real, uncensored grace. If this episode hit home, share it with a friend and make sure to subscribe so you never miss what's next. Do you have questions or feedback? Drop us a note at billymcdonald@graceuncensored.org. That's billymcdonald@graceuncensored.org. We'd love to hear from you. This is Grace Uncensored, where grace isn't earned. It's already yours. We'll see you next time.